My boy Bellila just dropped. Blizzard just addressed all the midnight drama. And I'm genuinely curious, did they or did they not? Because my man Bellila makes grandiose statements all the time. And half the time they're accurate, but the other half, he's kind of exaggerating greatly. Let's just dive into it and see what he has to say.
Welcome back to the Warcraft news. You know what? It would not be a proper alpha cycle without serious controversy. And this time, it's actually even more than the add-on wars.
What is the controversy this time? Let me list it out. The add-on drama. That's one. Number two, you have the fact that, there was the initial troll law being dog shit. You have the Gamescom drama. That was three. You then, of course, we got to go to 4, the premium motherfucking currency for buying housing cosmetics. That's 4. That's a really big one. And I remember the excuse they used for that one, which is kind of funny, was we tried to make it more convenient for you guys so you don't have to spend $1 and go through the whole checkout process for every $1 item. Now you can buy a currency so you can just check out in-game in seconds. Come on. I'm sure there's more, but let's just click play and see what Bellala's got to say.
Blizzard have decided to add a new paid currency to World of Warcraft, and that's had about the response that you would expect. But actually, there is a lot more than meets the eye with that story. And elsewhere, Ian actually spoke to add-on developers directly. He finally cleared up what he thinks is acceptable and is not acceptable. And he's even given us a definitive answer to the World of Warcraft on console question. And even threw a little bit of shade at you guys. Right, hearthsteel. What is it? Well, it's WoW's new virtual currency. What is it for? It's for housing items, and housing items only. What kind of items, we don't exactly know yet. But here's why everyone's alarm bell is going off.
And that's exactly right, Zeus. Okay, my bad, chat. Okay, stop. I got it. I apologize. I don't need 9 people typing muted. I got it the first time. I'm sorry. But that's right, Zeus. It's one item. When you purchase an item, you buy one item. And I think they might have changed that. But it was one singular item initially.
Virtual currency is one of the strongest dark patterns that is used in games. And by dark pattern, I mean psychological manipulation that is designed to get you to pay
My bad,
more.
Guru.
You see, that's because virtual currencies hide how much you are actually spending. And they'll usually offer discounts for larger packs, so you do actually feel the urge to buy more than you need. Lest you feel like a stupid idiot who doesn't take the smart, rational deal.
Thank you for the follow.
And then, of course, with a virtual currency, you've often got leftovers because of how the item prices are designed. So, naturally, you feel like you've wasted a bit.
I can't wait to buy 2100 hearthsteel for the item that costs 1900. So I have 200 left over, and I don't have the 50 I need to buy the extra item, so I have to go and buy the $4.99 bundle that gives me $4.50. So I'm always left with an uneven, wonky number, and I never buy exactly what I need. I bet you they're gonna have items priced at like $1.95 or like $2.25, so your account always gets fucked, and you always have to buy more than you need because of how it works. Did you know Starbucks has over 1.7 billion in unspent gift cards? They actually make so much money from that. This is exactly the same model. Fucking diabolical. That's what this is. It's goddamn diabolical, Jerome.
And to avoid wasting, you then may buy a little bit more so that you can spend your wasted currency in something. Now, at first...
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm gonna drop $2,000, buy every item in the housing shop, just to stop playing the housing situation in 45 minutes. Can I get a hallelujah, chat?
Glance, with this coming in, WoW is becoming more aggressively monetized and with blatantly obvious tactics. The kinds of tactics that, by the way, Europe is, getting legally interested in. And obviously...
God, I love the Europeans. Ban it all. Every single microtransaction should be fucking banned. in every game. I don't care. I get the argument, but Eben, you buy a level boost. You've probably bought a WoW token in the past. Yeah, no shit. You're literally disadvantaged if you fucking don't. It's a situation where if you don't partake, you get left behind. I want it all banned. I'm not a hypocrite. Of course I'm partaking in it. I can partake in a system I dislike and still want it removed. Some of y'all be fucking idiots who get so upset when somebody partakes in a bad system because they don't have a chance. If you don't like it, just stop. Fuck you, I'm addicted. I can't fucking quit. I love this game too much. I admit I'm a hypocrite, but I want it gone. I want the shit gone. Partaking in a bad system because it's part of the situation is bad. But I can still want that shit removed from the game.
People aren't happy about this, and I think they have got every right to be concerned. But here's where it gets interesting. Blizzard are actually adamant that they've got good reasons for using it.
Send me a link to that.
They promise that they are different. For example, they say the ratio of hearthsteel to real money is fixed and easy to understand. They say that the item costs are going to be player-friendly to minimize leftovers, and they also say that housing items will always be available on their own. Basically, so you won't be forced into buying a bundle just to get the one thing that you actually want.
New World did that. I bought a lot of fucking shit in New World. But to be fair, on New World, I had a Turkish Steam account. And on my Turkish Steam account, I bought like 400,000 New World currency for like $40. Whereas if my Steam account was American, it would have been like $400 worth of fucking shit. So I took advantage of my cheap-ass Turkish heritage. Fuck yeah! Inflation! Economy that's terrible! People are starving in the street, but I get to buy games for cheaper. Yay! Okay, that's a joke. I mean... Anyways. Hassan's family sold the fucking money out of the country. That's all I'm saying. All I'm fucking saying. The liberal elite.
And they also say that the store will not sell anything that is core to your race or core to your class, in terms of, its identity, its vibe, or anything that is already existing in Azeroth. Which all does, I guess, sound better. But there is a rather massive elephant in the room, and it's actually one that they addressed as well. And that's that they already have a virtual currency. It's called Battle.net Balance. So why add hearthsteel? Well, Battle.net Balance is tied to real money. I mean, whenever you look at your BNet balance, it's not in weird mystery box, it's in your currency. And that actually adds loads of legal stipulations. And according to Blizzard, it makes buying housing items a, quote, inefficient, inconvenient, and often tedious process. And on that, they're not exactly lying. Sure, I'll give them that, because right now, buying items with Battle.net Balance uses the same process.
I ain't gonna lie, the new in-game store pisses me off more than anything else, by the way. The in-game store is the smoothest, cleanest fucking UI I have seen in World of Warcraft. They have made the best in-game goddamn UI. And they made this fucking shit for a goddamn store. It is such a gorgeous, clean, well-optimized UI. No confusion, no stress, clean. Beautiful. Stress-free. And that shit pisses me off. Because there's so many other fucking parts of the WoW UI that should be fixed. Well, I ought to fix this fucking mic stand.
As buying something with real money, where you've got to go through the whole store checkout for every individual chair or lamp that you want, which is a pain in the ass for us, but it would also change things for Blizzard as well. You see, selling individual items for tiny prices just wouldn't.
Okay, no, look, it's not gamers when corporate entities prioritize money. I'm just saying I hate that corporations prioritize money over everything. World of Warcraft is incredibly profitable as is. It doesn't need to make more money. Do you know how much fucking money it makes? It makes so much money, it's not even fucking funny. And it's still more. Now, if I was a billionaire, I'd do the same thing. If I was a billionaire, fuck you plebs. I'm part of the elite class and y'all need to buy me my 17th yacht. I'd be right there with Sergeant Adela and the rest of the fucks. I'd be over there with Bobby Kotick, clinking champagne glass, going, my good friend, thank you so much. The shareholder bonus was extravagant. I bought my house in Aspen thanks to you. Those World of Warcraft players made me so much money, my good friend. Ho ho ho. I'd be right there with them. But I'm not a billionaire. I'm poor like the rest of the 99%.
Not work. And it wouldn't work because of payment processing fees. Often those do have a percentage of like transaction element, but they also will have a minimum fixed price. So basically they would rather have the bit that involves payment processing be one purchase instead of lots of little ones. And the upshot of that is that they would have to treat the housing items like the current store, where it would be more about big expensive bundles. And yes, that would suck for housing. So, they say that with hearthsteel, decorating your house is going to be an easier thing. You know, like the trading post or vendors in-game. And it would genuinely be a better user experience. And I guess I do agree that, yeah, sure, clicking the buttons would be easier. There'd be less paper cuts. Now, obviously, there being less paper cuts is probably good for using that system, but it also is good for Blizzard earning more money, and also it's something that a lot of people just...
And that's another thing I do want to touch on. Bellyla is absolutely correct there, because when you make every purchase take you to a "are you sure? This costs this much. Click yes to confirm." And you get like 9 fucking buttons to like check out, it makes people double think. It makes people go, maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I shouldn't spend this. Or maybe I don't need this housing item. When you remove that barrier, it makes people way more willing to drop the fucking money, because they don't think about it as much. The immediate dopamine of buying yourself a fucking chair so you can ERP in the ERP mansion.
Like, basically, do not want in any way. So, should we still be frustrated about hearthsteel? Well, without it, I think it is true that the user experience would kind of suck. That's for some regulatory reasons, like whenever you're a one-to-one real currency thing, and also just how the store currently works, and some of the financial stuff, right, with the payment processing fees. Now, some of that is just Blizzard's problem, and I've certainly got less sympathy for them than, say, someone in a local shop who would rather you pay cash because they don't want to be eaten alive by payment processing fees. But, you know, there is bad in this, because adding it gives Blizzard the power to abuse it. It is a dark pattern. Even if implemented carefully, it will make people spend more money, which is, you know, quite obvious.
It not only makes people spend more money, it shows shareholders how much money you make. And then it makes more money, because shareholders go, add a bundle. Make the bundle really worth it. Who gives a shit about, let the people buy the digital skins and whatnot. Get them addicted to buying. We're gonna get the fucking midnight mystery bundle now. I can't fucking wait to be sitting here on stream like fucking train wrecks going, chat, I'm about to roll. Holy shit, chat, I got the legendary mythic fucking chair. 1 in 1 billion chance, chat. Use my code, 10% off. Oh, holy shit.
Obviously, like their end goal. It's just that the more that spending is obfuscated from real money, and the more, you know, other little bad patterns come in, well, the worse it is psychologically, and it begins to feel like it's combative with the audience, like it's Blizzard trying to, you know, weaponize your psychology to get more money, which certainly is a lot less straightforward than just, hello, we have a video game, it's $15 a month. Nice and simple, everyone's incentives are aligned. Whereas in a situation like this, perhaps our incentives are not aligned. Perhaps Blizzard now has a lever that they can pull harder and harder and harder as time goes on. The question is, will they have the restraint?
No. No, they won't. Not because I don't trust Blizzard, but because I don't trust the fact that Microsoft isn't going to say to Xbox, you're going to have such an Adela like the creepy fucking uncle rub fucking Phil's shoulders going, hey Phil, buddy. 30% profit margins. You know what that means? Papi Satya Nadella needs another fucking yacht, another bonus. Come on, Phil.
Raise it. Add a dark bundle. Make me money, Phil. Phil, are you listening to me? I can replace you, Phil. You're replaceable. Phil, do you want this job? I can fire you right fucking now. I can hire somebody else, Phil. Are you gonna raise the fucking price of the bundle? Or am I gonna fucking touch you, Phil?
That's a leaked conversation by Satya Nadella and Phil Spencer, by the way. That's an actual, real-life, actual conversation.
To, yes, do this system which we don't like, but do it in a way that is not typical of the worst of gaming. The question may also be, even if Blizzard did have the restraint, would the incentives under which they exist mean that the restraint wouldn't matter, because they'll be forced into doing things? There's another question with this, though, which is basically, is this a bit of a rug pull? On that front, I have to say no, this is not a rug pull. They did say that housing would have a paid store element. This is something that we have pretty much always known about.
True,
but
that's fair. Doesn't mean I like it.
I think a lot of us...
Just because we know doesn't mean I have to like it. That's the dumbest fucking argument I've ever heard, is like somebody saying... He said he was gonna steal her breast milk. She knew he was gonna do it. There was warning it was gonna happen. Like, that doesn't make it any better, chat.
Accepted or knew that there would be a store. That it has started off looking like a literal free-to-play microtransaction trap is not exactly a public relations win. So hearthsteel is a double-edged sword. Yes, it does solve some real-world problems, but it does that at a cost. Now, there has been a saving grace here, and that is that Blizzard has been transparent with us. That's the right thing to do, and the reason why being transparent is good is because it actually gives us ammo that we can use again.
This is why the classic devs don't talk to us anymore, by the way. It's because of people like me just sitting here being like,
how dare you? How dare you say this? Battle Pass? Dark Poil Bundle? How dare we have Profit and Classic? Fuck you! Profit and my fucking Classic game mode?
curses upon you and your family. That's why the classic devs no longer listen to us or talk to us, chat. Genuinely, that's fucking why.
Against them if they go against what they've said, if they step too far into the more manipulative side of things. Because then that would turn the story away from, oh, grumbly players are grumbling, to, we said we would not do something, then we did it and people have noticed, which I think is a far more compelling narrative for actually effectuating change, should the worst come to pass. And in terms of metrics, Blizzard said that the ratio of mounts available in World of Warcraft to mounts that are on the store should be a good, kind of like, a good number, a good thing to think about when we try to consider how many hearthsteel paid items there will be versus just regular housing items. Now, what I would say is, Blizzard, I understand what you're trying to do there, and I get the good bit of it, but I'm also not stupid, and I am onto you, because it's a false equivalence. If you take a look at the store mounts, I think you do see that quite often those store mounts are a cut above the average quality of mount that you would get in the game. And that means that in their blog post, Blizzard have committed to roughly a ratio of paid to non-paid, but they have not committed to quality parity. And going forward, that is the thing I'll be watching like a hawk. On to our next story. This is a good one. So, add-on devs have been a bit furious with Blizzard. You see, on
I'm gonna pay attention. I'm not gonna be paying attention like a hawk, chat. That's a bit too much for me. But I'm gonna be paying attention. It's gonna be interesting. We'll see how it goes. But like at the end of the day, it's housing. It's like 10% of the player base is only going to be doing housing stuff and collecting stuff for the housing and role-playing. 90% is not going to give a flying singular fuck. Everyone's going to have fun for 1 to 2 weeks in their neighborhood, and then everybody's fucking done.
Alpha builds, the promises that add-ons will still be able to customize things have sometimes been true, but quite often not really been true at all. Now, last week, Ian Hazzikostas, game director, stepped into the situation personally. He and one of the UI team met with the authors of DBM and Bigwigs. The meeting itself wasn't recorded, but Mystical released a video that went over everything that they learned. And with that, finally, we now know what Blizzard are working towards and what they are definitely absolutely not going towards. and we finally actually know what Blizzard considers to be gameplay. So, let's get to what we've actually learned. First, it seems that Blizzard really are trying, at least from their own perspective, which, may or may not mesh with yours. But anyway, we have seen that every alpha build has made new concessions, but they are taking small steps. But as we've seen those concessions, we've also seen the small steps they're taking to avoid add-ons becoming necessary again. So in real terms, add-ons can make cast bars again. This was a large worry, and Mystical suggests that this could be used for very basic cooldown tracking, but it actually would be unreliable. We also know that secondary resources will be made trackable. That's things like stagger and your arcane charges. Now for healers, they're looking at opening up more unit frame options, things like absorbs and predicted heals, so that they can also be customized.
I mean, this is all really good shit. I don't have much to say about the add-on stuff. I play with very minimal add-ons mostly. It explains why I'm a dog shit gamer. I have very little fucking add-ons. I don't even play with weak auras. I don't have DBM most of the time. I very rarely play with like the right things I need. Like I think it's 2600 rating in retail without DBM, big wigs or weak auras. That's honestly kind of stupid. I probably could have hit much higher if I actually had some fucking add-ons helping me and telling me what to do. But I mean, I played without add-ons. It's so, like, for me, I think the add-on situation is cool. I'm glad people that use add-ons are getting their add-ons and they're actually going to be usable and made to actually work. But for somebody like me, I'm kind of the weird exception here where I just don't care. Don't hate me. It's what it is.
Over on the raid warning front, Blizzard knows they've not hit the mark, and over the next while, they're looking to add their own RP timers and wipe reports. They'll also do things like show cast counts. That's really important for things like tracking whether it's been the third or the fourth raid wipe from a boss, and that's absolutely key for raid leaders and healers, who of course are going to be organizing all of the utility and the externals that can keep people alive. And for accessibility reasons, they are going to add a way for add-ons to trigger sounds on certain boss casts. They won't do it for debuffs though, just for spell casts. So overall, it's a notable improvement, and I'd say that by the end of the beta, we might have a lot of the previously add-on only features actually be there in the game. But that's actually not the most interesting part of this, because we've also learned what Blizzard are absolutely against. So here's that. Blizzard will not let add-ons emphasize spells beyond what the base game already does. And right now, that means no countdown timer for an incoming spell. And Ian actually clarified this later on Reddit. He said that they want the game to do all of the telegraphing itself, including their own audio cues. That means that they'll add a countdown into the base game if they think it's necessary.
Yeah, like what you said, Ran. Add-ons aren't going away. They're just taking money out of the third-party devs, pretty much. Yeah, and like for the most part, I don't think this is going to affect a lot of people. I think people are exaggerating how much this affects the game. I think this is actually good for the game. I think more add-ons should be like scrapped and removed. But again, I'm in the vocal minority here, and the vocal majority always will have the louder say.
Necessary for, a boss fight or something. But he's not going to let features like that be add-on only things that, of course, would then create a capability disparity between different people in the player base. Then there's renaming spells. So the devs asked for that feature, and Blizzard actually said no. Essentially, they said that part of playing WoW is game knowledge, and they want you to learn what abilities actually do, instead of just reading frontal. Because of course something may be a frontal, but not all frontals are equal. And as much as I know that's going to be frustrating to some, I can totally see why game designers would like to have control over how their game telegraphs things like, ability names. But basically what ties all of those like hard no things
My
together,
man Kago with the 5 months. Hey, I just met you in this. Okay, and this is crazy, but here's my prime sub, so raid me maybe. Keep up the good work, King Urban. I got you, Kag. I love you, big man. I'll try to raid you today after stream. I appreciate you, big dog. Thank you for the prime.
Is that if it's something the base UI cannot do, then add-ons will not be allowed to do that. So where do we stand in this? Well, we know what explicitly will not be allowed, and that's cleared up a lot of lingering doubt. And we know...
Sorry about not... I always forget to raid people. It's genuinely not even like a me not wanting to raid. I always forget to raid. Genuinely. I literally cut my stream time to the fucking T. between my son getting off the bus and handling IRL things or calls or like appointments and shit, I'm almost always ending stream at a fucking rush. So I do apologize. I need to get better with that. That's genuinely just me being fucking dog shit at like getting my stream to end in like a good way. Like I ended the stream yesterday to 250 people, whatever the fuck it was, because I had diarrhea. I had to shit. So I just like left fucking. I gotta go chat, peace, and I ended my stream. I gotta get better.
What Blizzard are working towards implementing, which is good, because there were a few things that did appear to be missing, and that was real concerning to people, especially to the healers. And crucially, we know they'll draw a hard line at anything that gives add-on users an advantage. Which, you know what? I would say is coming close to a perfect outcome. Because if something gives add-on users an advantage, then people will feel pressured to use add-ons. And then, to, ensure the game has the intended level of difficulty, Blizzard's encounter designers will start having to design around the existence of add-ons. That is something that has widely been seen to have made World of Warcraft kind of just go off on its own direction with its own brand of difficulty, one that does seem to be a fundamental...
I did see the classic WoW numbers. I'll take a look at them later, Cag. I'm gonna make a video on that for the main channel later. I'm just reacting to Belly right now. But I'm gonna do that right after this.
Limited appeal. But as much as I'd like to say...
But yeah, in regards to add-ons, it's a weird situation because I do believe add-ons improve the game and add a lot to the game, add a lot to the quality, a lot to the user experience, and add a lot to players just enjoying the game in their own particular way. But at the same time, add-ons have made the game become more complicated, convoluted, and difficult because devs have to design encounters with all these add-ons, all these prep things, all these things in mind. So it's a double-edged sword of pruning the game to the point where it's now accessible to majority without dumbing it down so much it's no longer mentally stimulating. And that's the big issue with the add-on argument right there.
That's that. It's actually not, because there's one question still in the air, and that is the question of damage meters. It's almost beta, and damage meters still have not been working on the Midnight Alpha. And of all the base UI changes, I think this one has been the most controversial, because we really need them to be good. Now, after weeks of silence, we've actually got an update. The final alpha build has had some crucial additions. Now, the in-game DPS meters have gotten features that do make them look at least a few steps closer to details. Before, all that we had on them was damage and healing for the current fight, but now we see UI options to track interrupts and dispels, and there is the familiar segment option. That's really good, and it means you'll be able to track interrupts over, say, a whole dungeon or just one boss within a dungeon. That's good, it's a major step forward, but sadly, it is just a fraction of what Details can do. And the thing about Details is it doesn't really give you any, combat advantage when you're playing the game. It's just useful information to have. So, yeah, we could really feel like there's been a loss if this doesn't go well. What I would say, though, is it appears to be being actively developed, so I guess we can hold out hope for it being in a good stage by the launch.
The way I see Details is, or the built-in details, that it's probably going to take 6 months before they finally get that shit working well. Kind of sucks for everybody else, but about 6 months seems about right? 6 months seems about right on how long it's going to take before it's good.
And speaking of the launch, there's actually one launch that is not going to be happening. Ian was interviewed by Unshackled Fury, and it was a bit of a strange one, especially because he took the opportunity to fire a few shots at me and you. In a few ways, actually. Do you know what? I kind of love it. So, Jez from Windows Central brought up Xbox. Now, we've all been talking about WoW eventually getting a console release, and that's been backed up by Xbox's recent news, and of course, Midnight pruning buttons and add-ons. Ian's put it fairly definitively here. He said that if they were doing that, they would have no reason to hide it. So, no.
See, that's a lie. I don't believe Ian there, because they have every reason to hide it, because that's a big announcement that they're saving for BlizzCon or another big Xbox conference. Why on earth would they announce that randomly out of the blue on a random weekend? Of course, Ian's saying we'd announce it if it was real. It's definitely real. They're just not announcing it right. They're not ready to announce it yet. So Ian right there is kind of full of shit. I'm gonna be real, definitely kind of full of shit. But I get why he said it, but I don't agree with him.
Console,
I don't believe him.
Right now they are focused on PC. I entirely believe that, but as we covered in last week's news, the next Xbox is just a PC. At least that's what it seems thus far. So, there's really no difference between putting your PC under your television and
guys, let's cut it out in chat. We don't gotta argue. It's not a big deal. There's a little misreading. We're all good. Let's move on. No more fighting.
A console. Though if they were to take that seriously, they would need to make something akin to an add-on called console port, but, official. There was another answer, though, and it's one that felt a little bit pointed, and it's a smart one. So, Ian has been around WoW forever, way back since he was leading raids for Elitist Jerks. Elitist Jerks was a guild, but also like a forum, and on that forum, a lot of WoW's more like cutting-edge theory crafting went on. This is going way, way, way back in the day. But anyway, he does actually know how the community's changed, and that's what he was asked about in the interview. And he said that when he talks to people like you or me about their experience of the game, something curious happens. And I suppose it's maybe more you than me. I hate saying that, but basically, it's because he says he kind of knows what videos people have been watching lately based on what they say. It's kind of my fault, and, everyone else who does vaguely the same thing as me. But, I say fault in a joking way. I think it's more just something about modern media dynamics. Now, to be clear, Ian was not mean about this. It's not like he said, oh, people are just parrots. There's stupid parrots just repeating stuff from stupid influencers.
To be fair, influencers in general are fucking terrible. But that's because traditional media has died. With AI and social media algorithms, traditional media is fucked. Nobody wants to make videos like this. I promise you, if the algorithm wasn't such a piece of shit and actually put the right videos in front of people's faces, and they would actually click it, people would make regular videos. The reason people make clickbait, the reason people make BS videos, the reason exaggerate drastically, like Bradley does in all those thumbnails or titles, is because if he doesn't, he will not get views. Genuinely, it's bullshit. And you can thank Instagram, you can thank Facebook, you can thank YouTube and the Google UI and the AI. You can thank ChatGPT and Facebook. You can thank the fact that people want to be rage baited positively or negatively one way or the other. It's just what it is.
No, he did say that it's all still valid feedback. It's just that from his perspective, over time, community opinions have gotten less personal and more driven by what influencers say. And I think that makes a hell of a lot of sense. Because look, the way we consume media has completely changed. Way back in the day, I was listening to Warcraft radio, but the media ecosystem that exists around any game or any topic back then is nowhere near what it is today. And now we're able to extend our enjoyment of playing a game into consuming content about that game. And that is something that just did not exist back then in the way which it does now. And that does mean that, if there's things that you're feeling and you listen to a video or I listen to a video and the things in that video basically fit how you feel, then yeah, you'll be like...
This is like how I and Kago killed class season of Discovery by constantly saying, where's phase 9, where's phase 9, where's phase 9? And the devs were like, there is no phase 9. And then phase 8, and then season of Discovery's player numbers went from 75k down to 2k in 4 weeks. Because we kept pushing the narrative of phase 9's coming, phase 9's hype, and then there was no fucking phase 9. So yes, content creators and influencers can directly impact the game. Now that's an exaggeration. It's not like me and Kago killed the game or me and Kago were the reason. But with enough people yelling to the devs, where's phase 9, announce phase 9, say something about phase 9, they just said there is no phase 9. This is it. So it's over. Boom, everything died. So he's not wrong.
That was pointed out there. And that's what I think. And of course, that video will put attention onto the thing that you feel and maybe give you words to express how you feel about that thing, which then will mean that from Ian's perspective, stuff from videos is being talked about. The bit that I will add into the conversation is, for the most part, I think that if people in videos are saying completely wacky bullshit and people don't agree with it, then yeah, probably won't catch on. But what it does highlight is the responsibility to get things right. Because if you lie, or if you just, confidently get something wrong, and people don't have a way to find out that you've been wrong and to get a fact check on it, then that will materially cause damage. So that's something that we ever end up doing here. Know that's an accident, but also know that I really want to know if it's happened, because I never want that to happen, because it is the way in which content creation and consumption can actually cause some damage to a discussion. With that said,
there'll be a link down to this video in the description down below. If you haven't subbed to Ballylet, go sub to him. Great content creator. But like, he's not wrong. Content creators do shift the narrative or shift the discussion. A lot of like online like media and like outtakes shift and change how the community responds to things or how the community reacts to certain things. At the end of the day, Ian has a curse, this is correct, but so are like the things that people say online about the game. Just saying you're all wrong because, you know, Balila said this doesn't take away from the fact that Balila might have said something, but that still doesn't change away from the fact that that particular item was still unique in a particular way. Or bad in a way, or good in a way. But nonetheless, it is what it is.